Welcome and thank you for joining Oil and Gas 360. We're here at EnerCom's London Oil and Gas Conference with Gene Shepard, Chief Financial Officer of Brigham Exploration. Thanks for joining us, Gene.
You bet, Brian. Thank you.
So no oil left behind, a phrase theme that your company has adopted in light of your exploration success up in the Williston Basin. Provide us a little more background into how this phrase highlights your strategic operations up in the basin.
Yeah, Brian, well, I mean, there's just so much resource potential in the Williston Basin, and people have been chasing that resource for, 50 years now. And so over time, what we've done, it's all about getting that rock plumbed properly. And so we've gone from drilling single section laterals with 6 frac stages to now drilling 2 section laterals with up to 38 frac stages. And it's just about getting that rock propped in a way where you can enhance the EUR outcome. And it's early. I mean, we think we have a real clear view as to what we're doing to the Bakken and the Three Forks, but time will tell. More data, more microseismic will give us more insight and will better arm us with the data we need to extract more hydrocarbons out of those rocks. We think probably right now that we're recovering maybe 8% of the original oil in place, so there's a tremendous resource opportunity for us to go after. Down the road, we'll be refracking these wells. There'll be an EUR opportunity down the road. So, the nice thing is you've got 25-year, 30-year reserve life, so you've got an option on that upside. And so we've got 25 to 30 years to figure out how to enhance those recoveries, get more oil out of those rocks.
Sure. And talking a little bit more about EURs and costs, and like you said, your company is drilling about 38, or you're drilling wells with 38 stages.
Correct.
About $9 million a well.
Right.
What effect has this really had on your EURs and your rates of return?
Well, I mean, obviously, as costs go up, that's not a positive as far as our returns. But for the first time this year, a lot of our drilling activities in prior years were focused around delineating the acreage. We're going to focus more heavily this year on trying to achieve some efficiencies. Now that acreage has been delineated, we can start focusing more on the cost side. So we're using walking rigs. We will be using walking rigs. Our first walking rig comes in January of this next year, but doing pad drilling, multi-well stimulations. We've spent about $30 million of capital last year to begin constructing our midstream infrastructure, which is a combination of crude oil, fresh water, wastewater, flow lines to enhance the drilling economics. It's a big initiative focusing more on how do we realize more efficiencies, drive down the cost, because obviously as we drive down the cost, that'll positively impact our economics. At the same time, we're looking at things that we can do to enhance the EUR outcome. So right now we're using the perf and plug technique to get our wells completed, and I think over time we'd love to move away from doing all that wireline work, and there's some tools that are being developed that will allow us to maybe achieve some of the benefits of the perf and plug technique, but without having to do all that wireline work. So that's another big cost efficiency. So really it's the pad drilling, the multi-well stimulations today, the infrastructure work, the construction that's taking place. Those assets will be up and running probably in November of this year. And then down the road, it's some tools that we hope will make that operation more efficient, drive down cost, enhance drilling economics.
So the infrastructure, it sounds like you've started that plan.
Correct.
Any near-term successes that you've seen in 2011?
Well, it's funny, yeah, you asked that because we've had a lot of bad weather here in April, and it was, Williams County actually shut in some of their roads for a very short period of time, but we were able to continue to get a well completed by virtue of the fact that some of our freshwater lines, drilling freshwater to our drilling locations to facilitate the fracture stimulation, we were able to deliver that water instead of by truck because we didn't have the ability to take that road, the fresh water by truck because those municipal roads were shut down. So that freshwater line allowed us to continue to move forward with the completion of that particular well. And we think if those assets are all up and running in November of next year, when we start to get into bad weather next year, getting away from those trucks, whether you're hauling crude, bringing proppant to your location, bringing fresh water, bringing pipe. Obviously, there's not much we can do about the pipe. We're going to continue to put pipe on trucks, but that'll alleviate some of this weather impact that certainly the whole industry's experienced here over the last several months.
So the remainder of 2011 and moving into 2012, how does your capital expenditure allocation look between infrastructure,
right,
obviously your drilling initiatives?
Well, we've talked about 780 development locations at the end of 2010, and we think that if we can demonstrate that the Three Forks is prospective across our acreage position in western North Dakota, that'll go to in excess of 1,300 locations. So you're going to see a constant pressure on, we need to find ways to bring that inventory forward. And so that means you do that by, drilling more wells, which increases your budget. So we expect, so at the beginning of the year, I think we had a drilling budget of $550 million. Here recently, we've updated that budget. Now we're talking about a little over $660 million. And that'll allow us to drill 74 net wells this year. So the bulk of the capital, that kind of inventory of drilling locations, the bulk of the capital is clearly going to go to drilling. We spent $30 million last year on infrastructure. We'll spend another $87 this year. Not a lot in the budget next year for infrastructure other than drilling some wastewater disposal wells. But there's certainly more opportunity. It's just that the bulk of our capital, we're trying to make sure that it gets directed towards our drilling activities. And then on top of that, you've got certainly an opportunity to continue to grow our acreage position. I think we've got maybe $80 million-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood, that we've allocated to additional acreage acquisitions. But we'd love to have the opportunity to continue to grow our acreage position. One comment about that, you can't really, when you have a 20-year inventory of drilling locations, you can't really talk about just growing your acreage without bringing incremental acceleration, because to say that, oh, well, we've added 20,000 acres, but we'll be drilling those wells in the year 2030, that doesn't accomplish much for our shareholders. So again, that will put more pressure on the need for more drilling acceleration. So,
well, Gene, I really appreciate your time, and thank you for tuning in to Oil and Gas 360.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.